Okay, you're sitting on a mountain of data. Sales figures, operational metrics, customer feedback. It's all right there. And deep down, the answer to a huge problem is buried somewhere inside it all. But right now, looking at those spreadsheets just feels like staring at static. You can't see the connections, you can't find the root cause of the issue, and that means you can't make the right decision with any real confidence. It's one of the most frustrating places to be in business. Well, today, we're going to give you the tool to see right through that noise. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll break down one of the most powerful tools out there for root cause analysis, the scatter diagram. We'll start with why it's so good at uncovering hidden relationships, then we'll get into what it is and why it matters. We'll walk through step by step how to build one, and then, and this is the important part, how to actually read what it's telling you. We'll cover the single biggest mistake people make with this, and then we'll wrap up by showing you how mastering this simple chart gives you a massive strategic advantage. So let's dive right in. Our first mission, uncovering those hidden relationships. This is where real analysis starts, It's about making that leap from just collecting data to actually understanding the cause and effect dynamics that are driving your business. You know the feeling, right? You're wondering, hey, if we spend more on training our support team, will that actually reduce customer complaint calls? Or maybe, does the temperature in our factory have anything to do with our product defect rate? You've got the numbers for both, but they're just two separate columns on a spreadsheet. A scatter diagram? Well, that's the bridge that connects them. It turns all that raw data into a visual story that can lead you straight to a real insight. All right, so to really use this tool well, we have to get crystal clear on what a scatter diagram is, what it does, and exactly when it's the right move. At its heart, a scatter diagram, or you might hear it called a scatter plot, is actually incredibly simple. It just plots pairs of your data as a whole bunch of dots. But its real power? It's all in the visualization. See, our brains are just wired to see patterns, and this chart lets us immediately spot trends and relationships that are totally invisible when you're just looking at a table of numbers. It gives you that first big clue and a potential cause and effect story. So when do you pull this out of your toolkit? Well, it's perfect when you have those pairs of numbers, like machine temperature and the number of defects. It's also great when your outcome, your dependent variable, can have different results even when the input is the same. But most importantly, you use it when you have a hunch, a gut feeling that two things are connected, and you need to see if the data actually backs you up. Now, what kind of data works best? The gold standard is what we call continuous data, things you can measure precisely, like temperature or time or length. But you can also use discrete data. For instance, plotting customer satisfaction scores from 1 to 10 against call waiting time. That works perfectly. Where it's not so useful is for simple yes, no, or pass-fail data. For that kind of thing, there are better tools for the job. Okay, we've defined the tool, we know when to use it, now let's get practical. Building one of these is a really straightforward 5-step process. First, you gather up your pairs of data. Second, draw your axes. Now listen up because steps 3 and 4 are absolutely critical. The potential cause, your independent variable, that always goes on the horizontal x-axis. The potential effect, the dependent variable, goes on the vertical y-axis. You have to get this right for the interpretation to make sense. Then, you just plot a dot for each data pair where they intersect. And that's it. You've got yourself a scatter diagram. Plotting the data, that's the easy part. The real skill, the part that actually generates the aha moments, is in the interpretation. So you're looking at your cloud of dots, and sometimes you get lucky and you see a really clear line or a perfect curve. That's a strong signal, no doubt. But a lot of the time, the data is, well, it's a bit of a mess. It might look like there's a trend, but you can't be sure. Is it a real relationship, or is it just random coincidence? To answer that, we need a much more structured way to analyze the plot. This is where we bring in a simple but really powerful technique called the quadrant test. The process is pretty easy. First, you find the middle point going side to side. Just count half your points from left to right and draw a vertical line. Then do the exact same thing from bottom to top and draw a horizontal line. And there you have it, 4 quadrants. Okay, now that we have our quadrants, we just do some simple counting. Look at this table. First, we'll calculate A by adding up the points in the upper left and the lower right quadrants. Then, we calculate B by adding the points in the upper right and lower left. N is easy. That's just the total number of dots on the graph. And finally, Q is just whichever of those diagonal sums, A or B, is the smaller number. And here's the beautiful logic behind why this works. If there's a real relationship there, either positive or negative, the dots are naturally going to cluster along one of those diagonals.
That means one of our sums, A or B, is going to be a really big number, and the other, which we call Q, is going to be really small. As the analyst Ted Hessing put it, that imbalance is exactly what this test is looking for.
So here it is, the final step. We take our Q value, that smaller number, and we compare it to a standard statistical guide called a trend test table. These tables basically give you a limit based on how many data points you have. And here's the bottom line. If your Q is smaller than the number on that table, you have your answer. The relationship you're seeing is statistically significant. It is not just random noise. You found a real signal.
Now, you have this incredibly powerful tool for finding relationships, but we have to hit the pause button. Before you run off and start finding correlations everywhere, there is one critical, non-negotiable warning that every good analyst lives and breathes by. Say it with me. Correlation does not equal causation. Just because two things move together does not automatically mean one is causing the other. This is, without a doubt, the single most important rule in all of data analysis, and forgetting it can lead you to some seriously wrong conclusions.
And to make sure you never ever forget this, let's use the classic example. If you were to plot the number of shark attacks per month against the number of ice cream cones sold, you would find a shockingly strong positive correlation. As ice cream sales shoot up, so do shark attacks.
So, does eating ice cream cause shark attacks? Of course not. There's a third, hidden variable that's actually driving both things, the temperature. On hot days, way more people go to the beach and swim, which increases the chance of a shark encounter. And on hot days, way more people buy ice cream. The two things are correlated for sure, but neither one is causing the other. Remember, the scatter diagram shows you the what. Your job as an analyst is to dig in and find the why.
Okay, so you know what it is, how to build it, how to read it, and you understand the huge warning. Let's talk about the payoff. Let's talk about the strategic advantage mastering this simple tool really gives you.
Honestly, the benefits are huge. You can finally see those complex relationships we talked about. This lets you stop guessing and start making truly data-driven decisions. You can spot outliers almost immediately, which might be a big problem, or hey, maybe a unique opportunity. This chart becomes the foundation for any serious root cause analysis. And for anyone in operations, it's a key tool for checking if a process is stable and under control. And once you've confirmed a really strong relationship, you can even use it to make some pretty powerful predictions and forecasts.
So I'll leave you with a question. Think about the data you have access to right now. All those operational metrics, the sales figures, that customer feedback. What's that one connection you've always suspected was there, but you could never quite prove? What pattern, if you could just see it, might unlock your next process improvement, your next product idea, or your next huge strategic breakthrough? The answer is probably sitting right there in your data, and now you have the key to go find it.